For this module assignment, I made a Padlet that will describe three things. Number one, what personal characteristics I think I possess that will help make me a successful online instructor. Number two, how I can incorporate the vocal method. And number three, strategies for communicating with students. So this is based around vocal, and the first one I will talk about is visibility. Um, Visibility has to do with social, cognitive, and teaching presence, and I plan on being a strong presence in the online classroom. The first way is through direct instruction via Screencast and Hangouts. The second way is through discussion board facilitation, also using synchronous communication through phone calls and texting, also through assignment feedback, relying on the 20 or the 48 hour um, the 48 hour sorry about that, relying on the 48-hour window for providing feedback for students, and lastly through communication via email. The second component of vocal is being organized, and that includes setting clear expectations for classwork on the syllabus and assignments, and ease of course navigation. It's really important that the syllabus be crystal clear on open and closed dates of modules, and especially due dates for assignments. Um, one thing that I love about this course that I'm taking, the faculty training course, is that it had the Getting Started page that explained the learning management system navigation, so that is something that I want to incorporate into my online class. I love the idea of having a frequently asked question page that contains answers to common questions on what goes when, where, and how. And also dealing with communication again, the idea of not letting time fly by, making sure that students receive feedback on a timely manner to all communication, whether it's through email, through discussion boards, through assignment feedback, or any other method. Third part of vocal has to do with being compassionate. I think one of the concepts that I try to get across through my classroom, whether it's face-to-face or whether it's going to be online, is that the students don't work for me, that I'm here to help them achieve a goal. And that's something that a lot of the first-year students need to understand, because that seems to be a conception they have when they come out of high school. The second part is being culturally responsive. Of course, that goes along with students from other cultures, but that also applies to students within your typical American culture too. A good illustration of this happened to me earlier this week when we were looking at art that dealt with protesting the Gulf War. There was a student in my class who was part of the ROTC, and I was asking him questions about, well, what is your reaction to this protest art? And he was saying things like, well, I can see both points, and I was hoping to elicit a better response from him, so I was, probing him. And after class, he came up and he said, I just want you to know that because of my involvement in the military, I can't state my political views, and that's something that I wasn't aware of, because I needed to be more responsive to that part of his culture. So you learn new things every day. The third part has to do with dealing with students' needs and feelings. If they're feeling underwhelmed with the coursework, you have to know how to be able to extend their learning. If they're overwhelmed with it, you need to know how to help them organize their time better, or be able to divide the work into more manageable segments. Sometimes life disruptions come up, necessitating adjustments. If there's changes at work, things like death in the family, or times that when they have to be away from the computer for different reasons or whatnot, and also different abilities, dealing with ADA type stuff, or learning disabilities. You have to be responsive to that. Also, being compassionate has to do with having direct communication with me. There's different methods, like I talked about before, and the turnaround in response time, the dealing with a timely manner of getting back to them, and also setting appropriate hours um, for contacting me, especially synchronously. Knowing that it's not appropriate to call me, past the hours of 9 o'clock and call in the middle of the night and expect a response to a text or anything along that line. So setting appropriate hours, the typical, um, I don't know what it would be, 8 to 8 or something like that. The next part is being an analytical instructor. Again, we're back to the timely return of feedback. Also, analysis of student data should always be done. That really helps me as an instructor when I look at an assignment and I can look at it and see the student data and see, okay, well, I did a good job on designing this assignment. The students really learned what I expected them to learn versus looking at something and going, uh-oh, they didn't get what I thought they were going to get out of this. So that's imperative for further course and assignment development. Another part of being analytical is designing manageable assignments or modules or chunks. Again, you don't want the students to be overwhelmed or underwhelmed with that. It's also important to give students opportunities for feedback. I know that at the end of the course, we give them the course evaluation. However, I feel that a lot of students don't take that seriously. Even if they do, they just, tend to give you the rating of the 1 to 5 on the different questions, and very rarely do they write the feedback in the add your own comment here section. So we need to figure out ways to encourage them to give better feedback. So it's really helpful if you get feedback, especially on the fly, because that helps you correct issues as they arise and adjust, for your future courses or your future assignments. And the last part of being analytical is setting clear expectations for assignments, for professionalism, um, for basically their behavior and what's expected of them during the course. And that has a lot to do with the syllabus and setting the tone for the course, which leads us into being a leader by example, modeling best practices, giving them many methods of communication, both public and private, and setting the tone for the performance. You want the course to be an intellectually stimulating place. You want it to be a place for them to share ideas with the instructor and also with each other, and it should be a place that is professional and academically challenging. So that is my strategies for communication, how I will incorporate the vocal method, and some of the characteristics which I think will make me a successful online instructor. Thank you very much.